Christos anesti negrum fanato.
If a new person in the church, a catechumen or a recent convert, is interested in monastic life, I suppose that there's something inside of them calling them to that, urging them to explore that life. I would suspect that it's something deep inside. It may be a little less than that. It may be the externals that someone's very interested in, and it's not unusual to see a monk or a nun for the first time and get very kind of taken with the habit, taken with the way they dress, the way they walk, the way they talk. That's not a bad thing. That's as we can imagine, a lower level, let's say, of a calling, but it has to start somewhere. And for many people, it does start with that kind of interest. But it probably is something even deeper inside of the person. Hopefully it's not an escape. If it's monastic life is seen as an escape, it really won't work. It doesn't work. We don't escape anything coming to a monastery. If we have trouble getting along with people, we'll have an even more trouble in a monastery because we have to get along with people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the people we live with. If we have problems with relationships, the same thing will happen. If we have problems with persevering and being faithful in our work or our career, well, it won't be any easier in a monastery. But if the person is coming for the right reasons and they're new in Orthodoxy, my suggestion, first of all, would be Orthodox for a while. Be in a parish, a good parish. Be frequent attendant to church services as much as you can. Offer yourself there to do some of the tasks that are needed around the church. Not too many, because we can also get totally burnt out on those things and sometimes even have a very negative experience that will turn us away from the church. So we have to be careful in that. So if we assume that there is a calling to monastic life in the heart of this person who's coming into the Orthodox Church or newly chrismated, we would first want to be realistic. If we go right from that moment of coming into Orthodoxy directly to a monastery, we might be getting in a little bit too deeply, too quickly, kind of like running the Olympics right from the start. We have to work up to that. In my experience, or my suggestion would be to be a member of a parish, to go through the yearly cycle of the Orthodox Church, the fasting, the feast, the holidays, the celebrations, to feel that rhythm, at least for a couple of years, if not longer, to be active in the parish, doing some tasks that are needed, as I say, keeping the fast, and doing this while you're reading along the way and getting to know other Orthodox people. That's a very important thing. As Americans, we tend to do a lot of things by the book. If it's written, it must be true, as they say in Winnie the Pooh. But the practical experience to pray next to an elderly person in your parish, to stand next to them during church, kind of to soak that up, their spirituality. It's not something from a book. It might not even be something from words, but to be nearby those people that have lived the Orthodox life, perhaps all their lives, perhaps 70, 80 years, they knew nothing else, and they've been a faithful Christian and a faithful Orthodox Christian. So that would be important. Again, to keep the cycle of the year. Yes, to do some reading, but not too much, because we can get... if we don't have some direction in our reading, we can get a little bit overwhelmed or even confused. So a little at a time. Also to keep a daily prayer schedule yourself, to be faithful to that. Something short, but something that you really can do every day. Most commonly, it's a short rule of prayer in the morning, and in the evening, some prayers from the prayer book. as well as to remember God through the day, to call on Him in our hearts, to say the Lord's Prayer in a quiet moment. We might be on hold on a telephone line, or just have a quiet moment at work, or again in the car, or taking a walk, or to say the Jesus Prayer. We can say that even as we converse with people, or we're doing some routine tasks such as doing laundry or dishes. So all of these things to get a little practical experience of the faith, and to be nearby other people who have lived the faith and kept themselves in line with Christ's teachings, and have borne fruit in their own lives, in the lives of their families, in their own lives, by their dedication. So take that experience, and then to begin visiting monasteries. We don't have to visit so many, but it's probably good to visit more than one, so that when it comes time to choose a community, a monastic community, we will have found one that we feel quite at home at. Just as every family has a different, slightly different rhythm or personality, as every person has a different personality, so do monasteries. Some monasteries you will find are perhaps committed to education, or committed to publications. Others might be doing something more with people that are visiting, with pilgrims. So there's all kinds of ways that monasteries will be living the monastic life, and there'll be different tones, different feelings, different priorities, perhaps from one monastery to another, or different ages of people in the monastery. So to have an experience of visiting a few, and to begin by speaking, of course, with the abbot or the abbess on what their recommendations are, to get to know perhaps some of the monastics, if that's blessed by the superior of the monastery. And you have to remember that as you're making your decision, your selection, your choice, as you're discerning God's will for you, so the monastic community is also in a period of discernment, because the community is also looking at the potential candidate. Will they fit in here? Do we see them as a person who is mentally healthy? Will they, if they have any physical limitations, will that be a problem to us? What is their background? Do we think that they'll be similar in some way or another, and fit in well? So the community will be, again, in a period of discernment themselves, and we can't take everyone who asks to enter a monastery. Sometimes the monastery is limited at space. Maybe they have no empty room no empty cells, no room for anyone else to join. So there's all kinds of things that will come into play when you're actually at the point of trying to discern which monastery God wants you in. So it's a process, and it can be a delightful journey. That this could be your calling, your vocation, and it takes some time to sort that out.